Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And let's continue the series I've been doing where I attempt to name the best player in each NFL franchise's history, their all-time GOAT. I've been doing these in alphabetical order, and today we land on the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets actually started as the New York Titans in 1960, were them for 3 seasons, 1960 and 1962. From 1963 on, they have been the New York Jets. So we have 65 seasons of football for the franchise. Now, 2 off seasons ago, I did my NFL Mount Rushmores by teams, the 4 best players in each team's history, in my eyes. Last off season, I did the NFL Mount Rushmores by position, the 4 best players each position in NFL history. So before I name the GOAT of the team for each of these, I've been revisiting my Mount Rushmores, deciding if I would make any changes before naming the GOAT. So for the Jets in alphabetical order by last name, I had Curtis Martin. Martin ran for 10,302 yards over 8 seasons for the Jets. Don Maynard, majority of the wide receiver records for the Jets. Joe Namath, of course, famously quarterback for Super Bowl III, where he was named MVP. And Darrelle Revis, we all know Revis Island, shutdown corner, 3 straight first team All Pros from 2009 to 2011. Some honorable mentions I had included are Al Toon, Wesley Walker, Joe Klecko, Mark Gastineau, Mo Lewis, Nick Mangold, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Emerson Boozer, and Matt Snell, to name a few. Now, some of these, I feel like the 3 most recent were fairly easy. This one was difficult. Honestly, all 4 of the guys I put on the Mount Rushmore, you could say they have a case to be considered the best player in franchise history, but I could only go with one. So my GOAT player in Jets history, best of all time, is wide receiver Don Maynard. Maynard was actually selected in the 9th round, 109th overall in 1957 NFL draft by the New York Giants. Played 1958 with the Giants, played 1959 with in the Canadian Football League, but then played for the Titans and the Jets for 13 seasons spanning from 1960 to 1972. So he was there for their inaugural season. Maynard was named to 4 Pro Bowls with the Jets, was a first-team All-Pro in 1969, member of that Super Bowl III champion team, inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1987. Let's take a look at his season-by-season numbers via his Pro Football Reference page. Now, of course, wide receiver stats, passing stats were way different back in the 60s than they are today. So Maynard put up some standout numbers in his Jets tenure. Altogether, he had 5 seasons with over 1,000 yards receiving, 13 seasons, as I mentioned, with the franchise. Finished with 627 catches for 11,732 yards and 88 touchdowns. Led the league in receiving yards in 1967. Led in yards per reception in 1968, led in receiving touchdowns in 1965, had 3 seasons with double-digit receiving touchdowns, 7 seasons with at least 8 receiving touchdowns, and again, receiving numbers were different, and seasons were 14 games back when he played 2 seasons back-to-back, 1967, 1968, led the league in receiving yards per game. Approximate value is a statistic that Pro Football Reference uses to basically say how valuable a player was. You see 2 seasons, he led the league in approximate value back-to-back years, 1967, 1968. Finished as the AP AFL Player of the Year. He finished 6th in 1969. Just some ridiculous numbers for his time. Very few wide receivers put up numbers like that. in that time. Maybe a Lance Allworth, even further back, Don Hudson. But Don Maynard, I give the slight advantage to for the best New York Jet in team history. Unfortunately, Maynard passed away a little over 2 years ago on January 10th, 2022, at the age of 86. But do you agree um, with my choice as the best player in Jets history? Would you go with Joe Cool, Joe Namath? Um, I would say the first half of his season may qualify him as the best, but his play definitely began to falter later on in his career. Um, you know, even for his era, the passing stats aren't spectacular. And Curtis Martin was a beast. Again, 10,302 rushing yards over 8 seasons. Darrelle Revis, one of the all-time great shutdown corners. But I went Maynard. With all of these, I've been taking a look at the current roster and deciding if anyone has an opportunity to overtake the GOAT or at least make the Mount Rushmore, maybe even honorable mentions. For the Jets, a lot of their better players are super young. Their two top offensive players, running back Brees Hall and wide receiver Garrett Wilson, are just 2 seasons into their career. Very early to really tell about that. I mean, Quincy Williams is off to a good start. Played three, not Quincy Williams, sorry, that's his brother, Quinnen Williams. Quincy Williams is good too, though. But Quinnen Williams, 2 Pro Bowls, back-to-back seasons, first team All Pro in 2022. Sauce Gardner, another player with just 2 seasons in the league, but a first team All Pro in both of them. So basically, what I'm saying is, Jets have a lot of good young talent, but it's just far too early to say whether they'll be an all-time great. Of course, Aaron Rodgers, um, all-time great quarterback, not with the Jets though. Let's see what he does in his first full season with the team. Of course, got hurt the first game last season. Let's see if he could stay healthy this year. But stay tuned. Tomorrow, I will be doing the Philadelphia Eagles. That's another challenging one, I'm going to be honest, though. Stay tuned for that. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.